I, 25 female, work in event planning, so I always get invites or tickets to high-end events. There was a huge event coming up that I was really excited to go to. I asked my boyfriend, 27, 3 days before the event to accompany me, and he said yes. So originally the plan was my boyfriend, my stepsister, and myself. On the day of the event, he said he had a doctor's appointment, so he wasn't sure if he could still attend. I said no problem, and I waited for him to return home. A couple of hours later, he texted me that he had something to tell me. I got worried and called him immediately. I asked if everything was okay, and he said he was diagnosed with anemia, so he'll have to take supplements. I expressed how sorry I was and spoke to him for about 2 hours, gave him pep talks, told him I was here if he needed me, reassured him that I would always love him, etc. I then asked if he would still like to attend the event with me to take his mind off things, to which he responded that he doesn't like the artist performing, so he'd rather go to another event. I said, no problem, and I'll go with my stepsister alone. He got upset and hung up. I called him back, but he started an argument about how I'm selfish for going out while he's going through something. I told him that I'd already made plans with my stepsister and couldn't back out now as she depended on me. I also don't drink, so I would have been the sober driver, and if I didn't go, she couldn't. I told him that this was the only event my sister wanted to attend, and I promised her that I would take her months prior. I even told him I'd see him the next day, and he said to be safe and hung up. I got to the event around 11 and spent the entire event alone, just sitting down and watching the show by myself, having food and drinks. When I returned home around 2 a.m, I called him and he was awake playing video games. His first words were, "Look who cares about me again." I said, "I'm too tired for this," and he responded by saying that of course I'm tired. I went out with him knowing he was upset, but I love partying and meeting new people so much that I didn't think to stay with him on the phone. I told him he was being ridiculous and I would have stayed if it were just us who planned to go. He said my priorities are off and I'm an ignorant idiot. Keep in mind, I don't attend parties unless it's with my family and I only attend events a few times a year. So, am I the idiot for not staying on the phone with him and attending the event instead? LOL, I knew about man flu, but I never knew manemia was a thing. I expected it to be cancer, some kind of degenerative disorder, or something requiring major surgery. Anemia is generally a completely treatable condition that has no impact on quality of life. Unless the doctor referenced a concern about a more serious condition, it's reasonable to assume that supplements are all that's needed at this point. It sounds more like he's using it as an excuse to get out of something he didn't want to do, then taking it a step further to try to manipulate you. You are not the idiot. I was just sitting here scrolling, eating some rice before I headed into work, and paused for a good 10 seconds with my spoon halfway in my mouth. Anemia? Like just anemia? Not leukemia, but anemia? Should OP go back and clarify that crap? We're talking about anemia, yeah? I had to reread that a few times. Exactly, the dude needs to take some gummy vitamins, and it sounds like he had a meltdown and wanted his girlfriend to feel bad and not enjoy herself because he's an idiot. That's all I can come up with to explain the behaviour. LMAO. Homeboy needs help. I couldn't even imagine spending 2 hours talking about having anemia in the first place. Info? What did you talk about for 2 hours? He basically cried and told me I needed to make a decision on if I wanted to be with someone who wasn't healthy and if I could see myself with him, having a family, etc. I told him I didn't have any decision to make because I'd already made it years ago, and I chose to be with him. The call lasted 2 hours because every time I reassured him, he said something to make the situation more depressing, like, "You'd be better off with a healthy guy," or "I'm sure you have guy friends who want you and are healthier than I am," or "I'm literally dying." Stuff like that. OP, it's like getting upset because you didn't cancel your plans after he got a stuffy nose. Good luck if something really happens to him in the future, like a stomach bug or something. Reconsider a future with someone who has a complete breakdown over anemia. A lot more challenging things will come up in life. I, female 36, have been married to my husband, 38, for 10 years and have recently had a massive career change. My first degree at university was in nursing, but I've been really struggling over the past few years with everything that happened, so I've gone back and done a degree in marine biology. Marine biology has always interested me, and I was so pleased to start enjoying my job again finally. I've started working for a turtle rehabilitation centre and could not be more fulfilled. The challenge comes in that my husband continuously introduces me as a tour guide in an aquarium. He thinks it's very funny and says it's easier to explain. No disrespect to those that work in aquariums, but I worked so hard to go back to school and have a job that I love. I was doing the degree part-time while still working as a nurse, and my husband saw how much I struggled. When I was nursing, my husband never used to do this. I was always introduced as a nurse, but now he can't or won't get it right. People always look at me with such pity when he says, she was a nurse, but now she works at local aquarium. So I've started correcting him when he introduces me to new people, which he says undermines him and makes him look like a fool in front of others. I've said he wouldn't look like a fool if he told people what I actually do, but he says he can't remember all the details and the fake job title is funny. Recently, I refused to go to an event with him unless he promised to introduce me correctly, and he said that I was massively overreacting. I didn't end up going, and my husband was really frustrated, especially when people who knew me at the event asked him why I hadn't gone. I'm at an impasse, but he insists I'm the one making a mountain out of a molehill. Am I being an idiot by asking him to use my job title? Am I overreacting to a joke? Edit, my husband is an engineer. Introduce him as your roommate until he learns to respect you. Definitely not the idiot. I don't understand this insanity of not giving a crap that your actions are hurting someone you claim to love. Furthermore, if something is important to your partner, then it should matter to you. What is it with these guys who want to treat their wives as if they barely like them? Introduce him as a technician. That will hurt an engineer, and he will deserve it. Given this guy's ego and seeming prejudice, it'll crush him. OP, he's belittling you. If he continued, I would continue correcting him in front of him. If it continues happening, I'd add something like, I'm a marine biologist working with turtle rehabilitation at the aquarium, but for some reason my husband can never remember my title. I guess it's too long for him. Exactly, I'm a marine biologist, but hubby has difficulty with big words. But oh boy, he says it undermines him. He's undermining you and making himself look like an idiot being caught in a lie. He's showing great disrespect, and I suspect it's because he secretly denigrates nursing and sees you as a comfortable level below him. He wants to keep you at a perceived level. 10 years, eh? I'd lay a bet he's been showing you his disrespect in many ways over the decade. Frankly, he seems insecure. That sounds really bizarre. However, my friend and her sister are now both angry with me and calling me an idiot for leaving them stranded. I, 30 female, have a friend I've known for 10 years, Natalie, 28 female. Natalie has an older sister, Mika, 37, who works at a high-end restaurant in our home country. Both Natalie and Mika want to go on a holiday and decided to come and visit my country. I moved about 8 years ago to the UK. I've agreed to be their tour guide and show them around, but have told them that they'll have to stay in the hotel as I don't have space in my flat to have 2 guests around for 2 weeks, and I didn't know Mika that well either. Natalie had no issues with it, and a few days before their arrival, Saturday, has asked me to book a restaurant as both of them wanted to have something nice, and the internet connection wasn't great as they were travelling. I've booked a restaurant where a good friend of mine is a chef, and it's a family-run business where the food is absolutely delicious. It also has many 5-star reviews and is a local favourite. When Natalie and Mika arrived, I gave them time to get ready and took them to the restaurant. Both of them order Caesar salad as Mika tries it everywhere, and since she works in a restaurant herself, she judges the place by how they make the salad and how correct the recipe is. My friend personally brings our order, and Mika starts throwing a fit and arguing with my friend that the Caesar she's been served is not correct as it doesn't have tomatoes, olives and boiled eggs. My friend tries to be polite and asks her if she wants these ingredients as extra toppings. Still, neither Mika nor Natalie are having it and started creating an even bigger argument to the point of Mika insulting my friend by calling him a bad chef since he can't make a simple salad correctly. So my friend has asked them to leave his restaurant and never return. I apologized to my friend and left a big tip. I also explained that I had no idea they would behave this way. After I left, both Natalie and Mika started slagging off my friend and telling me I'd chosen the worst place to eat, and I should be grateful that Mika quickly recognized how bad this place was because they didn't serve the salad right and that I should warn others not to eat there. At this point, I've had enough. I've told them they could visit the places by themselves as I will not be putting up with their entitlement any longer, especially since they keep insulting my friend for serving a classic version of a salad to them and causing a scene. I've also mentioned how embarrassing their behaviour was, and that I expect them to apologise to my friend. As they refused to do so, I called them a taxi and left them there, returning to my place. However, I keep getting angry messages over social media from them and seeing passive-aggressive posts calling me an idiot, as they now have to spend extra money on guides and transport. Am I the idiot? I have never in my life had a Caesar salad with olives, tomatoes and egg. If they do this in every restaurant, do they cause a fight everywhere? Or is this some crazy way to get free food? Other than that, not the idiot. They can take their entitlement elsewhere. Imagine acting like that over a salad. A salad? Does Mika actually work in a restaurant? Wouldn't she know to be a better guest than to treat the chef that way? Ordering something to test the chef, going to a restaurant is bizarre and immature. Either way, they're both behaving atrociously, and I think it's right not to want to spend time with them if this is just how the visit started. Mika might think she's Gordon Ramsay at this point, kitchen nightmare style, having to test the food. I'd be extremely embarrassed if my friends reacted like that, even if I didn't know the chef. And she's 37. Jeez, honestly, I'd drop them as friends. How we treat people we consider our social inferiors speaks volumes about our character. My wife is so neglectful regarding chores and does a half-baked job. Today was the third time this week I found a glob of residue on my plate and I lost it. I grabbed the plate, brought my wife over to the sink and demonstrated how to scrub the entire plate properly, and she just zoned off and stared into space. I told her to stop being disrespectful and watch my demonstration, because she clearly doesn't understand how to wash the dishes properly, or maybe now that I think about it, she's just pretending to be incompetent at it. She started crying when I said this and told me to leave her alone, and she ran to the bathroom. I do the dishes and all other chores half the time, and I do a proper job without being reminded beforehand. Meanwhile, my wife has to be constantly reminded and begged to do her turn of chores, whether that be dishes or mopping. And she whines and complains when I remind her to do it, and will do a half-baked job and rush through so she can get back to whatever else she's doing. I take my household responsibilities seriously because I respect the value of living in a clean home, while my wife acts incompetent at doing chores to get out of doing them or because she doesn't feel like it. Also, I told her the first 2 times this week when she left dirty plates, I asked if she could be more thorough while cleaning the dishes because it's gross to find residue on them. She just rolled her eyes and said, yeah, and blew me off. Her laziness for chores isn't just when it comes to dishes. She does all the laundry under the same settings because it's too hard to remember which settings to use for each type of clothing, when I literally made a list guide for her so she could remember each type. When it comes to vacuuming, she tries to finish as fast as she can so the rooms are left with giant patches and streaks of dust. It's her overall attitude of neglect that is bothering me, because she expects me to do a proper job when it's my turn, so she knows she can get away with acting incompetent. And I know she's not inept at doing these chores because whenever we have guests she cares about coming over, she'll somehow muster up the energy and knowledge to properly clean stuff and take cleaning seriously. But I feel bad for making her cry, and I am sick of her not doing a proper job. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You grabbed the plate, brought her over to the sink and told her to stop being disrespectful and to watch your demonstration. There's a way to communicate something, and this isn't it. Don't wait till the 3rd glob of residue and then explode. Instead, kindly discuss with her that cleanliness is important to you, and finding old food on your plates is disturbing. Apologize. Take a step back. Have a conversation, not a scolding. I'm so sick of people saying, have a conversation, as though that hadn't occurred to anyone else before them. Obviously, this was a breaking point after repeated conversations. I wash dishes better as a child than this grown woman does. It's really not that hard, and I can't figure out why it's such a common occurrence unless she's messing up on purpose. If the genders were reversed, people would praise you for fighting weaponized incompetence. I agree, OP's not the idiot. My boyfriend was the same. We split the chores 50-50. He was always complaining about it, didn't want to wash the dishes, and always doing a poor job with that. One day, I said it was enough. Do you know what I did? I served his dinner on a half-cleaned plate. Ha ha, he was so disgusted. I said I was tired of his BS, and if he doesn't put in enough effort, me either. I stand firm in my decision. And the next day, when I came home from work, the kitchen was sparkling. Of course, after that we both apologized, but I made a point there. I have a friend who has to top every single story he hears. If you got a new dog, his cousin just adopted a wolf. If you rented a cool car on vacation, he spent way more money and rented a Ferrari on his last vacation. If your kid scored a goal at hockey, he got a hat trick. It drives me nuts. It can be super inconsequential things too. I mentioned once that I just tried a new pizza place. He had to say that the pizza in New York City is so much better. It's just ridiculous. Friday night we were at a party, and I was talking to a girl telling me about her trip to Costa Rica. He got into our conversation and started talking. I asked the girl if I could grab her a drink. I didn't want any part of it. When I came back, he told her all about our trip there and all the birds and wild animals he saw. He was going on about everything. I just kept my mouth shut and wished he would go away. When the girl asked me about the trip, I just said it was a good trip and that we'd gone there for a friend's wedding. She asked to see any pictures I had. When she looked at them, she started laughing. She said that we'd gone to Puerto Rico, not Costa Rica. My friend just kind of dropped his shoulders and went away. I ended up having a great night with her and we might see each other again soon. She told me she thought my buddy was a tool though. I guess he'd been telling her about hiking to see the wild toucans which do not exist in Puerto Rico. My friend came over yesterday and he said I was an idiot for embarrassing him like that. I guess he thinks I should have just lied to her about what country we went to. He constantly lies to women, so I guess he thought I should too. Not the idiot, you didn't embarrass him. He embarrassed himself. Your friend, and I use that word lightly, tried the one-upmanship game on this girl and it backfired spectacularly when you wouldn't lie for him. Spend more time with this new girl and less time with your friend. Yep, he's a one-upper. It's always hilarious watching someone like that embarrass themselves. I have to admit, I wouldn't blame OP for accidentally saying the wrong country on purpose. I've done it a few times with people like that. Slip in an intentional mistake, correct it later, and just watch them deflate. It might make me an idiot, but it's worth it. OP, your friend has a serious issue with compulsive lying. It's time to ditch him.